Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your ambassador on K80Y TV, with a segment of Good Morning Port Hueneme. And once in a while in life, you get a chance to meet somebody who did something very significant, and the nice thing about it was the fact that he kept so quiet about it makes him even more significant. And in this culture, and I know this bothers Brian a little bit, but I'd consider him a hero, and that's Brian Neilson. And Brian is a hero in my mind because a certain act that he did on November 1st, and then you received an award, was it last night, for this particular act. And so I would love, Brian, if you can kind of tell us what took place on the event, you know, what you were doing November 1st and what you saw and what you did, and then we'll talk about how you kept it quiet. But can you tell us that part of it, Brian?
Yes, I was on my way to a Dave Ramsey leadership seminar down in Los Angeles, and I knew that I had to leave the house at a certain time. I could tell something was off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before I'd even left the house, I'd left a half hour later. Just couldn't get myself together. I also usually stopped to get a cup of coffee for a long drive, and didn't feel much of a desire to get a cup of coffee that morning. And I also traveled an unusual route that I never really take.
Interesting.
It was
Wow.
Ventura Road, and didn't know why at the time. I kept asking myself why. Everything feels so different. Driving up Ventura Road, I got to the wagon wheel area,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed there was an SUV in the road, and it was unusual because there was no traffic light, there was no stop sign. Went to go around the vehicle to check on the driver, and that's when I noticed the flames were coming up over the hood, the windshield, and part of the roof of the truck involved in the accident. And then from there I got out of my truck, and I noticed there was a woman on a cell phone yelling, "There's a baby inside, there's a baby inside." Got out of my truck, got the doors open. There was a baby in a car seat in the right rear of the truck. The probation officer pulled out, the baby still in the car seat. Exited the vehicle. I jumped into the truck. The driver was unconscious from the impact, and tried to get the driver out by pulling him over the center console. I was unsuccessful the first time with the intense heat and the sound of an explosion from outside the vehicle. I ran out of the truck, probably about 10-15 feet, turned around and looked back at the truck. And I just realized I had one last shot. It's either now or never. Ran back in a second time, was able to start pulling him over the center console. About halfway over the center console, the driver became conscious again. Pulled him out of the vehicle by his sweatshirt, and the probation officer with the baby, myself, and there was also a third vehicle that had stopped. We all kind of gathered on in the front of that vehicle. At that time, I handed off the driver to the occupants of the third vehicle and told them, keep him warm, he might go into shock, elevate his feet if you have to. Ran back to go move my truck away from the flames. And just before I reached the front end of my truck, I heard a series of 3 small explosions. Looked back at the truck, and the only thing I could describe it as 3 white sparklers or bottle rockets coming from the truck shooting into the sky. And I noticed the interior of the truck was now engulfed in flames. And I moved my truck back to warn drivers coming up the road with a flashlight so they wouldn't. I just figured because it was the first rainy morning that we'd had, and
I remember that.
It was the first rainy morning we'd had in a long time, as far back as I can remember, along with the dark from the early morning, and also maybe people that were on their way to work on an early morning, lack of full attention, would either hit my truck or myself or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that,
it's amazing. You did a great job of explaining that. Thank you very much. And I think, Brian, what makes this so unique is you really didn't tell anybody, but yet somehow the word got out. You had pretty much orchestrated several items, made some really quick decisions, and then you keep it to yourself. So how did people find out about this, since you didn't actually say a word?
In my honest opinion, I believe, and I give full credit in the way everything happened that morning. As I said before, I could tell something was off.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that, God had a lot to do with it. The way I felt that morning, and even going through when I was in the vehicle at the time, how the vehicle didn't explode, I don't know. When I got there, the first time we entered the truck, the flames were coming up over the hood, the windshield, and part of the roof. When I entered the vehicle the second time, the flames were coming from underneath the vehicle. So how the flames were held from the inside of the vehicle, any other explanation I try to come up with, it doesn't seem to cover. So I give full credit to God. I believe that He kept us safe that day, and I also believe that He's got a way of bringing things out the way they did. After 7 weeks, and I'm getting a phone call from the Ventura County Star newspaper from Kathleen Wilson, and just simply mentioning my name in the paper brought everything out the way it did. I do believe that's God's hand right there.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because the uniqueness of what you were going to without even knowing what was going to happen, I want to acknowledge that part of it, and the fact that you reconfirm my intrigue as to what took place prior to you driving up. So I guess the probation officer is the one who got the article, but then your leadership actually found it and approached you on it?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
So your response to your leadership was, just didn't feel like it was worth, bringing it up,
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm in amazement. I'm sorry if I look kind of surprised, it's on me. So I told you, feel free to make mistakes. Well, I'm making them right now, right in front of you. So, I just love it. Can I just acknowledge that you are in the service, and if you could just tell us just what little your responsibilities are. We had talked about this before, because I want to acknowledge, what you do.
Well, I'm stationed at Naval Base Ventura County. I'm assigned to NMCB 3. Essentially, we are Seabees. We were created in 1942 for overseas construction of advanced bases, and we just support construction operations, for advanced bases, and also we provide humanitarian assistance to countries that suffered natural disasters.
Now, it's interesting because on that day of the event, you were going to class, you said, right? So, do you want to share what you're actually studying for? Because I thought that was kind of interesting.
I went to a Dave Ramsey seminar back in 2012 when I had some hard financial times. But he was teaching a leadership seminar, and because of the success that he has had, I'm a living testimony that his system works. So I wanted to go to his leadership seminar. His company's been voted for the last 7 consecutive years as #1 best company to work for. So I was looking for some leadership techniques and guidance.
Yeah, and you're going to study OSHA subjects. So is that your subject that you said you're going to study?
I'm currently in an OSHA class.
Okay. You just got a full life, don't you?
I do.
I have to acknowledge again, I really believe the words I call it, Brian, I call it divine serendipity, and nothing happens by accident. And just the fact that when I asked you where you're from, you said from Culver City. I said, that's a city that I pretty much cover, and especially the educational part of it, and realizing that you went to Culver City High School, and you went to Culver City Middle School, and then you went to El Rincon. So it's wow, it's like I know the whole staff over there, and I'm gonna go there, and I may send this video to the superintendent, and they say a small world, but I kind of agree with it. It's God's world, and He orchestrates things, and I just want to say thank you so much for your life, and I know we go through all challenges, but somehow I think. You're going to be special, and I'd like to make sure I keep in contact with you, and hopefully I've treated you nice enough that you would mind keeping in contact with me. So I would hope we could have you back later on when you got some other things going on. But Brian Neilson, thank you so much for you and your life, and for everybody surrounding, everybody who's ever supported you. So with that, Brian Neilson, again, who I view as a hero, a very humble hero. So this is Peter Godinez, your ambassador with K80Y TV with Good Morning Port Hueneme. Until next time.